So hello everyone. So we got 4 people in the 5th row. It might be a good start. So this beautiful day is about to begin. And I was asked to ask you that when you have a cup, what you use for coffee, tea, or water, that you might tag it with your name. It's kind of a sustainable way of keeping the washing of the dishes low. So there might be some, I don't know, some tape or something somewhere. So to start, I would like to ask you all to come to those beautiful seats. Yes. And I now see, starting, I need coffee. I need tea. I guess, I get it. You get 3 more minutes. Okay. Oh, that was the bell. I really have to get this bell the next time. No, I didn't do anything, I guess. Warte mal, also es ist auf jeden Fall, es gibt sowas wie Windows P, dann kannst du erweitern. Wir wollen duplizieren wahrscheinlich. Ja, es ist nur PC-Bildschirm eingestellt. So.
Okay.
Aber es gab hier irgendwo noch so diese Startfolie.
Ja, aber das hat mich jetzt, ich habe heute so viele Bugs drin gehabt im System. Ich bin nervig.
Ich glaube, der eine mehr oder weniger ist ja auch schon eher hart.
Aber ich bin schon live draußen. Ne? Also ich schicke schon das Mail zur Kamera, die jetzt hier den Saal aufnimmt.
Okay, das ist jetzt gerade, achso.
Und eigentlich so dieses
auf dem Desktop. Duplizieren, warte, ich muss erweitern. Nur 2 Daten erweitern. Also, hier war ja am Anfang bloß dieses Logo, was wir wahrscheinlich brauchen, ne?
Ja, das wollte ich eigentlich haben.
This one.
Ja.
Ah. Looking good. Sagt ihr mir Bescheid, ob er da ist? Ich sag dir Bescheid, sobald er eingetroffen ist. Oh. People coming in from everywhere. It's like Okay. Hopefully everyone is in the room who is supposed to be in the room. Well, good morning, or yeah, good morning, good morning, good day actually. Hello everyone. My name is Dennis, and I'm leading you through these 2 exciting and intensive days. We have an awesome event for you. So just let me give you a quick overview of today. After our introduction to the project and its partners, we will have 2 inspiring and informative speeches for you at hand. And after that, there will be lunchtime. And after that, we go to the core of why we are all here. Because this is when our first 2 pitching groups are presenting their projects. They consist of 10 different organizations. But I had a last-minute change, so 2 of them will pitch tomorrow. So it actually are 8 today. So I see. So that seems a lot, don't you think? But we have a little coffee break in there because everyone needs a coffee once in a while. And this day will be closed with a nice get-together for dinner at 6 p.m. I'm honestly grateful to guide you through these days and be part of this outstanding event. I wish you all some exciting, inspiring, and productive hours. And with that being said, let's dive right into rebuilding to last. So, all of you have one thing in common: an urge to make our surroundings more sustainable and thus more livable. This project, Rebuilding to Last, in short RTL, is a 2-year project co-founded by the Creative Europe program of the European Commission. The project is led by Trans-Europal in partnership with 11 diverse organizations from across Europe. Its main goal is to build up the capacity of cultural spaces in order to address the sustainable future of their buildings and the organizations in general. That goal will be achieved through inspiring and empowering cultural teams, audiences, communities, and cities, so they can lead their own way to a sustainable transformation and change. In this exceptional event, described as a hackathon, 13 cultural organizations from across Europe will present their sustainability projects, and hopefully they will be able to receive support for their implementation. There is a pot of 16,000 euros available for these projects. The RTL partners will see to spread this budget to 3 winning organizations. The winners will not only receive funding, but also mentorship and guidance from RTL partners experts in the format of 2 local workshops, 2 local workshop interventions, and a training session for each. But who is more predestined to talk about this project than the initiators themselves? Please welcome on stage Tiffany Fukuma, Director of Trans-Europal.
Thank you. Hello, hello. And welcome. Thank you very much to ufaFabrik for hosting us in this amazing center that is like a bit of a flagship of our sustainability practices in Trans-Europals, and what we would qualify as an inspiration also for a lot of other members. So thank you for hosting us. Thank you to Moose also for hosting some of our partners and members this weekend, and for the lovely evening yesterday. Welcome to our members, and welcome to also all of our non-members who are joining this initiative. It's a very important initiative. It's one of our most important projects in the upcoming years. You may know that sustainability, and especially environmental sustainability, is one of the core priorities of our network. We're celebrating our 40 years anniversary this year. There was a celebration in Brussels just a few days ago to honor our founder, Philippe Grombert, who passed away a couple of years ago. It's really a good time to realize like how much history we have and how resilient we've been through a succession of crises. Actually, if you think that we were born in 1983, that was like 6 years before the fall of the Berlin Wall. So you can imagine how societal changes affected the history of our network. And now we're facing new crises, and the climate crisis is one of these big crises, but there is also all the financial crisis that we've been going through, the COVID crisis also that left the culture sector in a dire situation actually, and we are perpetually interrogating how to become more resilient, and we believe that focusing on our infrastructure, we've been focusing a lot on what we do, and often we are like a little bit in what we do and the contents, and we lose track of what is around it, and the importance of dealing with the transformation also of our infrastructure to address this crisis. So hopefully through this project we will have a lot of ideas, innovative practices, methods coming out of all the work that you are all doing to sustainably transform our built environment in all of our buildings. We want to insist that our model of transformation, when I say us, it's like the members of Trans-Europal, try to have the minimum negative impact, not only environmentally but also socially. We stand strongly against like every practice of discrimination, eviction, gentrification, etc. So it will be very interesting for us to see also how this social dimension is taken into account in the physical transformation of the space. And anyway, we don't really have a choice. We've been doing that for 40 years, and we'll keep doing this because there is also like the European New Green Deal. We will be forced to transform our buildings in the next coming years. We will be forced to go through the renovation wave strategy, and we are already aligning with the principles of the New European Bauhaus. We didn't wait for the New European Bauhaus to actually align with its principles. We kind of like set them up, I would say, 40 years ago. Thank you very much for being here today, and I think I'll pass it on to our moderator.
Yes. Me once again. Thank you. Tiffany Fukuma. Thank you. So, habt ihr die zweite Handfunke noch für mich? I just asked for another mic. So, great. Okay, next on stage. Well, due to my work for the neighborhood center, which is located right here at the very area, I personally know the ufaFabrik for almost 12 years. And the UFA, for me, stands for cultural events, sustainable consciousness, hard work, and after all, a unique and great group of people. Therefore, I'm honored to pass the word now to the director of the ufaFabrik, Frido Hinde.
Thank you very much, Dennis. So the director of International Cultural Center of ufaFabrik. I always like to add this because, of course, ufaFabrik is a big conglomerate of different organizations, as you will learn within the next days. Like we have a bakery here, we have a school here, and I'm not in charge of all those entities, but of ufaFabrik as an international cultural center. Anyways, having said that, you will find out much more about ufaFabrik on detail tomorrow when you do the big tour with my colleague Werner, who will focus very much especially on our actions in the field of sustainability and ecology. Now, what I really want to do is say, first of all, welcome to ufaFabrik. We are very proud to have you guys here. It was a pleasure for us to organize this event. And also, I want to thank, on behalf of ufaFabrik, very much to the team of Trans-Europals, of course, especially Roxana, who has been organizing this event with us together, but who also overtook the whole project management in the last months. And it's really good working with you. Thank you so much. Also, I remember when we were asked to join this project, I personally was on parental leave. It must have been in summer 2021, I think. And Jose contacted me. Many of you guys still know Jose very well. He used to work with the Trans-Europals many years. He left for new professional adventures, which is totally fine, a bit sad, but totally fine. But I remember he called me. I was on parental leave, and he was like, you have to become a partner of this project. Please read it, help me develop. I'm in contact with so many people. I don't remember everybody, but for example, with Boris, with Michele, of course, and all the others. And I said, look, I don't have much time at the moment. Okay, send it me. I have to trust you somehow. How do we do the financial things? Yeah, it will be okay. I send you the budget. You please read it. And I said, it takes some days to go through this. I have to make up my mind. I'm not even in office. But where I'm aiming at telling this story is, I want to tell you, we have been a partner now with the Trans-Europals for over 30 years. I think we are the longest standing member. And the reason why we decided, yes, we become a partner of this project, even if it was a bit difficult at this time, was really trust this organization very much. And of course, this topic fits to us, the sustainability. We try to do as good as we can for many years, especially also the people who started the ufaFabrik, who do this much longer than I do. But at the same time, also to become a partner of a big Creative Europe project, even though we didn't have actually enough time to go through all the documents on detail, was also because we really trust into the relationship that we have with the Trans-Europals. I feel this is very strong. And I don't know if all of you know this, but Trans-Europals will have its 40th anniversary this year. We will have a big party for this in Leipzig. It will be very, very nice. So about the ufaFabrik, you will get a bigger talk later. And as I said, you will also get a big tour tomorrow, focusing especially on the sustainability actions that we have here or have implemented. And during the partners meeting yesterday evening and also this morning, many people referred always to, oh, we can learn things from ufaFabrik. I'm very proud that I hear this, but at the same time, I want to share with you guys, we are looking for a peer-to-peer exchange. We also want to learn, and we also want to get new ideas out of this project, and we want to improve. And of course, we also want to become even much more sustainable than we are producing and hosting cultural and artistic events. So very lucky, very proud to have you guys here. Looking forward to very cool 2 days. And yeah, if there's any question, turn to me, turn to my colleagues. We are here for you. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, Fredo. So our next speaker, I also want like to thank personally because her briefing and her preparation of this event and her thoughts about the moderation made my job today a lot easier. As a senior project manager at Trans-Europal, she's leading on the Rebuilding to Last project. Please welcome Roxana Apostol.
Thank you. Hi everyone, welcome. I'm so happy to finally see you all face to face. I know you all by like lists and Excels of tickets and hosting locations and all of that. So I'm happy to see you all here. Thank you so much to UFA for hosting us. And actually I would like to say, Fredo, it was a lot of hard work from Benedict actually to organize all of this. I was my job was easy, just to write instructions, and it was for him to put it in practice. So yeah, I'm not going to take long. What I want to do is introduce you to all of the Rebuilding to Last partners, so that you may all be a little bit aware of who is in the room, who you might be working with over the next 2 years. I'm not going to do them justice in the little amount of time that I have, but I want you to see them so that you may approach them and have a chat with them in the coffee breaks, in the lunch breaks, during the sessions, and so on. We are many partners, as Dennis mentioned. We are 12 partners in this project. Trans-Europal is leading the project. Tiffany has already explained a little bit of our history. We are a network of grassroots cultural centers with members across 40 European countries. Now, in an alphabetical order, it's not an order of importance or anything, another partner of Rebuilding to Last is Antenna, and we have here today Michal and Ludovic from Antenna. There is Ludovic, yeah. So Antenna is a network of around 30 cultural centers and organizations across Slovakia. They operate in the field of independent arts and culture. Moving on to BIM 6D from Spain, we have Frederic here. There is Frederic. BIM 6D, they are an amazing digitization company based in Barcelona. They use BIM, Building Information Modeling, technology as the basis for their services. They can create and manage 3D digital models for buildings and infrastructures and so on. I will never be able to explain all the technicality of it, but you can speak to Frederic. We also have here Miguel from Coloco. That's Miguel. Coloco is a multidisciplinary creative studio in the landscape and urban fields. They're also the winner of the 2006 Young Architects New Album Award. And I will have to say, Miguel is one of my dearest friends. He has become this over the last few months. All right, moving back to Spain. We have Eurecat, and we have here today with us Almudena, Santi, and David. And Eurecat is currently the leading technology center in Catalonia and the second largest private research organization in Southern Europe. Just so you put it a little bit in perspective, they're running about 200 R&D projects currently. So they are very interesting to talk to, I will say so. And a little note for you, you will see around the room and in the hallway some QR codes. Eurecat in Rebuilding to Last project are going to develop some learning content that will be freely accessible for cultural organizations. They've put together a small survey to try to understand what are your preferred ways of learning and your topics of interest so that they may build content based on that. So if you could follow that QR code and fill in the short survey, it would be super useful. And also talk to them. They're going to be around, they're going to ask you questions about what you would like to see from a learning program. Okay, moving on to Finland now. We have here Kai from Kapeli. There we go. So Kapeli or Kapelitedas is a project that began in 1991, and it's nowadays the largest and most diverse cultural center in Finland. They actually run 3 large cultural spaces, and they have more than 3 museums, galleries, dance theaters, art schools, artist bands, and so on. And they will be hosting the final event of the project in 2024. We also have here Manifatture Knos, or Associazione Culturale Sud-Est, excuse my Italian. We have Michele and Giulia here. And so they are a cultural organization that was founded in 2006 with the aim of working on the interaction between the urban space and its inhabitants. So they founded Manifatture Knos as a result of the redevelopment of a long-abandoned training school for metal workers. So they're really experts in that community engagement in the process of transformation, and they are the ones that are leading the whole pilot intervention. So you're in very good hands here. We're moving on to Nova Černovka from Slovakia again. We have here Boris and Martin and Juraj. I can see, yes, they're over there. Nova Černovka is a cultural and creative center operated by the Černovka Foundation. They're located on the premises of a former chemical school in Bratislava, and they were founded by the creative community in 2016 as a result of being pushed out of a gentrifying area. They have a very interesting story. You can talk to them about it. We also have amongst our partners the Organization of Ibero-American States, that is sort of a large multilateral cooperation body between Spanish and Portuguese-speaking Ibero-American countries, focusing on the fields of education, culture, and science. So unfortunately, they're not with us today, but they'll be able to bring in expertise from a little bit beyond Europe within our projects, and some inspiration hopefully from there as well. And I promise you we are soon done. We also have Todo por la Praxis here, so Diego and Joe and Nico and Martin, yes, here we go. So Todo por la Praxis is an agency for mediation and urban co-production that offers stimulation, advice, consultancy on tactical urban planning and participative processes, and they're also based in Spain. We are very Spain heavy, I would say. We have ufaFabrik, of course, which Frido just presented. I just wanted to say that there's quite a few people from ufaFabrik here today, and we're very grateful. We have Frido, we have Benedict, but we also have Werner, who will tell us a little bit more today, and we also have Ziggy. I saw her here a little bit earlier. What we like to refer to her, I hope she doesn't mind this, but in Trans-Europal we call her a little bit the mother of sustainability. She has a lot of experience with UFA, so you can also talk to her. And last but not least, we have among us two people from the Faculty of Architecture at the Université de Liège in Belgium. We have Martina and Thibaut. There you go. And they are doing a very, very complex research exercise for the project. So just to say that the Faculty of Architecture at the Université de Liège was established in 2010. It is located in the heart of Liège, on the site of a former military barrack. And the broad mission of the faculty is really to prepare the actors of the future transition by questioning the role of architecture and that of the architect, its fields of expertise and working tools, and also by trying to anticipate and respond to the profession's upcoming challenges. So you will see we're quite a diverse group, and you're welcome to approach people and to talk to them and see what kind of interesting information you might get from them, or what kind of interesting information you might be able to teach them as well. That's all from me. Thank you very much, and I'm very, very excited to hear you all present your projects this afternoon and tomorrow.
Thank you, Roxana. So, our next speaker is the technical director of ufaFabrik, and thus he is a driving force in developing and using aspects of sustainable building, such as photovoltaic or surface water utilization. He has always been a driving force of enhancing the technology and its utilization for the purpose of more sustainable working and living in a resource-gathering society. I got to know him as a person who cares for ecological justice, from those projects on a bigger scale, as mentioned before, right down to the very smallest workers for sustainable balance, the bees. Please welcome on stage a great man to talk and to listen to, Werner Wirtaler.
Yes, Dennis, thank you for the great words. Yeah, the bees. Okay, yeah, I'm a little bit nervous to have so many people here from around Europe and people who knows what they do. So, hi, Jakob. Okay, I start and want to take you some some themes of ufaFabrik and of my work at the last 35 years or so. What ufaFabrik is, I think I let it in this part lay down, and we started with a tour through ufaFabrik. I think it's better to tell you more about UFA in this little tour. Yeah. So here I only want to say, ufaFabrik, we are still 43 years old, and we live on this old film factory here. And I think we still live here because of our diversity of themes and diversity of people, and I think that's our power. Okay. We in 2001 we thought until this time sustainability has 3 columns, and it was the ecology, the economy, and the community, the social part. And in 2001 I tell you, in the 19th we did many projects in sustainability. Photovoltaic, green roofs, rainwater harvesting, and so on. And after 10 years work, I wanted to present it to the people in Berlin and invited them, and there were 25 people, something like this. And I was very sad because Berlin, 3 million people there, and I wanted to have something like this, yeah, for my 10 years work, 25 people. And then I thought, okay, Werner, you are a little bit crazy. You live on the greatest culture center in Berlin and you don't use the culture. So you are crazy. Yeah? And then we organized a festival here in 2000. It was the first time. And then there were around 3,000 people here in the weekend, and we have had music, we have had drinks, we have had dance, and in between all these I presented my ecological projects. And so for me now, sustainability has 4 columns. Culture is the most important things to open the hearts of the people and to transport your things you want to transport. Okay. Good. This are some themes we are working at, or we are working with. So using of renewable materials was one point, or climatization with plants, it's a very important point. Solar energy and rainwater harvesting and so on, bioconstruction, all these things were established here in UFA. So you have, for example, wood or clay or straw as a building material, or flax and sheep wool and paper recycling materials for insulation. Then we have, I also have had a discussion with my colleagues here, and they always said, or people from outside also, they always said, Werner, you and your fucking ecological projects, they are very, very expensive. Yeah, make it commercial. Yeah? So we pay half the price. But then I showed all the people with every project what is the benefit we have in this project. And for example, for the photovoltaic, we have had about 20,000 euros a year profit. Yeah. And then here with the cogeneration is a motor that drives a generator, and we produce about 50 kilowatt energy power, and with that we save about 8,000 euros a year, but also we produce only 30% of the waste gas a normal power plant would produce, a coal power plant. this is also very interesting. Someday our energy organization in Berlin, our electricity organization in Berlin, raise up the voltage from 220 to 230 and say, okay, it's for you. Yeah, you can work better and so on. And at least it was more euros in the end. Yeah? Because when you show how they calculate this, in this formula, you find U squared in the yeah. So when the voltage is higher, you have to pay more. But the machines don't run quicker when they have a little bit more. They only get more warm. Yeah? And so we have a machine with special technical details, and we can save about the power -8% and about the consumption about 10%. So we save by this 5,000 euros a year, and the machine costs about 15,000. So 3 years, and after that. Oh, Benedict, can you give me some water? Hier. Ah, da, okay. Yeah. Thanks. Sorry. Yeah, then we have had a compost system. In the beginning, you see it on the left side, we have a mountain, a compost mountain, and it lasts about 1.5 years to get good earth from the vegetables and so on. Then I saw in Spain a system that is for half a year. It's finished. And then we started with rotation system, and we put organic materials inside, turn every day 1 round, and then the compost is finished after 3 months instead of 1.5 years. And it's because of the microorganism. They need heat and oxygen. So heat is in the middle of the mountain, yeah? And oxygen is on the surface of the mountain. So they cannot work very good. But when you turn them, it's very easy. Yeah? They come in the middle, warm. They come outside, oxygen, warm, oxygen, warm, oxygen. And then they are very, very happy and can do it in 3 months. So what else can we do with our waste, with our shit, and with our waste from the kitchen? We can make biogas out of it. As you see, oh, no. Naja, gut. Here you put your organic material in. Here until here is water. You bring it under the water here, and then here the microorganisms make the system and make their work, and here on the top is biogas. So the microorganisms make biogas, and you can use it to cook or so. There are special toilets. You can connect here to bring your shit in this system, and with the gas you can make light or cook, or it can take a shower or something like this. We can tell about this in detail later. Then we have a big rainwater system. We can collect all the rainwater from the surface of Ufa in a big cellar, and there are 250,000 liters can be stored. And then we put the water through a plant filter to clean it, because the water from the streets are polluted, with shit from the dogs or oil from the cars or something like this. And then with this system, we get about 2 million liters of using water instead of drinking water. And we can flush the toilets and so on. Then we have done some projects outside of UFA, in the arena, for example, or in the Postbahnhof. And they have had the problem to heat their big halls. Maybe it's in your case the same. When you have 10 meters high wall or so, hall, then it's a question how to heat it up very efficiently. And then here is the old power plant of Berlin. And Dimitri Hegemann asked me, he wanted to do an exhibition of architects. And the room high was 24 meters. And so it was winter, and it's not possible. You need an own power plant to make it warm there inside. And so we decided, I remembered, I have been in the mountains at 2,000 meters, ice and snow, and I was in a little corner with a little tea, and it was hot, and I was naked, and there was ice, and the sun shine, and I was very happy, but naked. So, so this system is the same. You have something like a U, and you shoot a flame, a gas flame inside, and here the waste gas come out. And the U, the metal U, is like the sun. Yeah? They make radiation, long wave radiation, so it gets warm. And all the people who are walking on the bottom, on the ground here, get warm because the radiation, yeah? And the room itself is 15 degrees. Yeah? You cannot do it with other heating system, so it's very clever. And they save more than 40% of their costs, heating costs. Yeah, in the beginning, I think that was 79 or so, some architects in Berlin thought about an ecotope, a paradise in the cities. Yeah, so it looks, left was the idea, and on the right side was the reality. Yeah? And so we started with green roofs. And before the green roof, you couldn't live here. In summer, between 12 o'clock and 4 o'clock, you cannot be at home. It was too hot. And with a green roof, no problem. So also we did it in ufaFabrik. On the left side is above the guest house. On the right side, it's in the University, the building of physics in Adlershof. Also plants. Why? When you have the radiation, the left big yellow thing, that is the energy that comes from the sun to our city, to our surface, what else? And a normal city, I think this is Rio, a normal city would change the long way, the short, it's hot today, yeah? They change, the material here change and make this sensitive heat. So it got very hot, heat islands and so on. Yeah? So what happens when we have a green roof? So the sun is nearly the same. Yeah? There are truth measurements. No? The sun is nearly the same, but there's nothing that can change the short waves into long waves, because the plants take this energy from the sun and use it for evaporate water. And so you have very, very less sensitive heat, and you got through the physical process of evaporation, you get this latent heat. This is the heat is in what is in the wie heißt das? My English not so good. Hier in dem verdunsteten, in dem evaporated water, ja. Ich suchte gerade nach einem Wort dafür. Nicht Nebel, nicht steam, yes, thank you, Dennis. So you have steam, and the energy is bonded like a latent heat in the physical process of the steam. And then it goes up until the stratosphere, where the clouds are and so. And then it condensates and the heat comes out. But in the stratosphere, it's minus 45, minus 50 degrees, so it doesn't happen, it doesn't matter. But here on our surface, it's not sensitive heat. That's the principle. Here you see a normal roof in red, the temperature over a day, and you see in the middle of the day, it's hot. And here this is on a green roof, and you say the amplitudes are very, very slow, very low. Yeah? So it's very good for the climate. Here is a green roof in different years. Left side is a dry spring. On the right side is a wet spring. So grass don't grow when there is much sun and less rain and so. So it's very interesting. When I come out of my room, I saw these things, and it changed every season. Okay, here is another part of the solar system in ufaFabrik. It's over the school, above the school. And it was a problem. Once I have been in our plenum and asked, I need a place and I want to make some experiments, and so I want to test some things and I need this place. And someone was saying, oh, you eco asshole, you destroy our green roof, what are you doing there? Yeah, so. And then I win the discussion and build it up. And then we measured that the photovoltaic on a green roof make more energy than a photovoltaic on a tar roof. Very good. So the photovoltaic win. And 2 years later, I saw, oh, there are many other plants down under the solar system. Yeah, so more diversity of the plants and more energy for the solar system. So win-win. This is the normal. I know in Spain there's normal to have such things outside. And it's crazy. Okay, you get some cool inside, yes, but you have a little bit energy, 300 kilowatt hours energy, electricity to run the system, and you get 680 kilowatt coolness. And not bad, yeah. But what you do is around 1,000 kilowatt hours heat, sensitive heat, you send to the surrounding. So you warm up the planet with this system. And you better can do it with plants, no problem. Yeah, when you have facade greening, here's in ufaFabrik, the plants Yeah, the plants evaporate water, about up to 10 liters of water per 1 square meter in a day. 10 liters of water in a day could be evaporated. Yeah? When you want to do it at home, you need about 7 kilowatt hours energy, gas or electricity. So here the plants, you need nothing. You don't bring weight heat in the world. Yeah? You cool, and it looks much cooler. Okay, what's the physics behind this? You see the orange Würfel, and this is what the sun brings us to the ground. Yeah? The energy what the sun brings us to the ground. And the left side is that what we have in uran, coal, gas, oil, and so on. So this is what all people in the world use, for building, for moving, for don't know, heating, for everything. Yeah? The consumption, energy consumption in the world. So this is around 60,000, factor 60,000 between this and this, what comes from the world, from the sun to the world. So with things in the ground, we can live about, I don't know, 40 years or so. Yeah? We could use this, but it's crazy. Why? We have enough from the sun, so we have to look that we get the energy from the sun. Yeah, that's it. But now a question to you. When there is so much energy from the sun, why isn't it 100 degrees here? Or 120 degrees? Do you have an idea? Plants? Yes. 80% of the energy from the sun is in this physical process of evaporation. Yeah, so the lakes, the seas, the oceans, the trees, the woods, the green roofs evaporate water. And so the sun could not be more, could not bring us more energy than this, what we have. So, and now, I do not want to say it, but it's the truth. What we do is we want to optimize this, yeah, by saving energy, less car, no meat, and so on. Yeah, this. But what we really do is to change this. For example, we reduce the plants in the world, the trees, the forests, the rainforest, by 350 square kilometers a day. This are from 2016. Also, the urbanization is 150 square kilometers a day. And the desertification also about 300 square kilometers. And so we destroy this physical process of evaporation. And for me, that is the most important thing we have to do in the next years to make our cities green and to stop the deforestation in the world. Okay. Yeah, then we have had another theme, bioconstruction. On the left side, it's a quarry in Spain. And the material is used for to build houses, for to make plaster and so on. And on the right side, for me it's much nicer, is when you work with renewable materials, yeah, straw for example. And so we made a big conference, a big festival in 2010. And it's, yeah, Straw in the City was the, and we invited all freaks from Europe to come to Berlin to show what they do with straw bale building, yeah. And yeah. And we invited the energy seminar. It's a seminar very funny. They are interdisciplinary students, philosophy, Germanistic, and so on. And I built with this a house with these people. Very good. So, but okay. The physical thing is to produce a normal insulation materials. You are here. Straw is here. So the gray energy for to produce the material, the insulation material, is very low when you use straw. And the capacity of heat, straw is here, and the normal things are here. So it's very, very efficient. And this is our little straw bale building with the students. And this is a project we did in Spain with our friend Juan Bello in a school, vocational training school. It's like the shell of the Jakobsweg, you know, this holy way through Santiago Compostela. Good. Here, when I say insulation materials, is also important to get a view of the noise reducing in your music halls or what else. Normally there's a wave running here, so wow, yeah, this way you know this. So, and when you have the normal wall, you have a standing wave. It's something like this, yeah. And I gave you a little bit overview. Here are the frequencies you wanted to eliminate in your room. And then you have to build a system with this centimeters. You see 100 hertz, you cannot insulate, it's 84 centimeters. So you lose many room. And you can make this here, for example, so that is here a quarter of the wavelength of the frequency you want to destroy. Yeah, so you have to look which frequency is shit, so you can make it here bigger or slower. Good. Noise reducing outside. You can see when you have a break, there is the wall. And it's very interesting. It's a steel system, Rebermatt. And there are coconut mats here. So you can fill it with everything you have. Yeah? Waste from the construction area or so. You can fill it with sand and what you have. And then you can plant plants. And then it's a very nice vertical biotope. We call it vertical, vertical ökotope. There are many birds and so on. And the noise reducing is up to 60 dB. So when you stand behind, you hear nothing. Only the reflection when you are a little bit more far away. Okay, so green roof is also for to grow vegetables possible. Or here someone asked me for the insects plant calendar bead. It's 12 beads, and in every bead is that plant, that flower in this month. So the insects have all the year food. For example, in January now, Hamamelis is flowering and so on. This is good, so they have something to eat. But there's another idea behind this. When you know the red list of insects, they are short before. And so we can look which insects are there in our beads, and if they are in the red list. So we can say, when we see on a plant in June or so, we can say, okay, Berlin, next year you have planned this plant to your gardens, to your balconies, to your green roofs, for to help this insect come out of the red list. So it's both. Okay. Yeah. That's what it was. No. Wait. One more. We have elections in 2 weeks or so. And I found an old plakat from 1990. We do a session, a tour through Germany with the Green Party, with a train. Okay, normal. Played samba in the streets and bring the people to the train station, and then they can do their politics. Yeah, it's normal. It's a job. But there's written in front of the train, so that the climate does not become a catastrophe. 1990. We have 2023. So I don't know. we have to do something. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Werner. So we have a little. Are there any questions for Werner that occurred throughout his input? Yes.
You can have a copy because they are all plans for the months I've written down.
Yeah, great. Me too. Other questions? Okay. So, thank you once again, Werner. Big applause. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is highly experienced as a founder and consultant. For many years, he works in research and in the think tank industry. Amongst other projects and initiatives, he's the founder of Everywhere Hydrogen and the pan-European think tank GMI, the Green Music Initiatives. Since 2020, he's leading the Action Network for Sustainability, which works in the field of operational economy and regarding culture and media, and is in close cooperation with the German government. It's all about transformation nowadays, right? So I found his definition of it quite intriguing. For him, transformation has always been an essential aspect of being part of the world. It's an ongoing process of evolving oneself, and therefore it had always been a need of reacting to the steady changes of the environment we all live in. Please welcome here on stage Jakob Sylvester Bellabil.
Hello. I wish I would have come earlier, so I would have had the opportunity to get to know each of you, because you spent some time already, some kind of jumping into the cool water. The idea right now is, after listening to Werner, which is always very inspiring, I have to say. Okay. After listening to Werner, I'm going to create some more hate. So, from the actual very practical issues, I'd like to move a bit out and, in a weird way, look at some structural challenges so far. And to be here today, it's a great honor for me because I have to be very transparent about it. I've been to the ufaFabrik many times, and I'm standing on shoulders of giants. So many of the things I'll be talking to you about are based on what I learned from Werner. Because when I did the first solar roof at the German Melt Festival, I think this was 2012 or something, I really consulted with him. So I was asking, is it doable? Can we do it? Because the idea is we wanted to create a sun-plugged stage at a big festival, a stage which is only run by sun. We succeeded in setting up the solar panels. We didn't succeed in creating enough energy power to actually save the energy. So the next thing is, when I started my first not-for-profit company, I was reaching out to Vrido and asking, so how do I do it? Because I wasn't really aware of the pitfalls and challenges in creating a not-for-profit, and he was of great help. And I have to thank you again, so I'm standing on your shoulders as well. And Birgit, obviously you met, like she's the, I would say, the good heart of the ufaFabrik, and with her, yeah, she really approached me today and said, oh man, it has to be 10 years when we last saw you in ufaFabrik, which is true, so I love coming back. So I'm happy to be here. And I'm going to kind of keep talking until my presentation starts. No problem. So I'm just coming back from a meeting on the islands of Faroe Islands, in which the Nordic Council of Cultural Ministries invited people from Europe to a process called the Green Roadmap. And in that Green Roadmap, the Nordic countries, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, Denmark, Norway, I hope don't forget any, did come together with exactly that question: how can we create a roadmap towards a greener future for the cultural sector? And in that regard, they invited me for a keynote, and in that keynote something really sprang to my mind, that we tend to talk about roadmaps, about rebuilding things, about clear ways into the future, and very often, if I'm honest, at least in my experience, the future has not been written yet. But we pretend that we have an idea. We pretend we have to be climate neutral by this year, or we have to reduce by that year. And by that, somehow we ease ourselves in the idea that it's plannable. To be honest, looking back on my experience in the last 15 years, so in sustainability, nothing actually was planned. It all felt more like a video game. I don't know if any of you play video games, but there's one boss, and when you think, yeah, I survived that boss, there's another boss and another challenge and another challenge and another challenge. And this can really put some, oh, here we are, lovely. This can really put some effort on the system and on the people in the system. So, I would say, and this is what my mentor always said, transition is more of a dance. It's more like a one step forward, one step to the side, one step backward, and try to stay a bit easy in the hips, which is not easy for Germans. So try not to step on each other's toes in the very beginning and listen to the music, and then transition or transformation, which is one of the big terms in Germany right now, comes easier than pretending something is actually plannable. Okay, so I move. It's not working. Good. So, and this brings me to the name of my presentation: Rebuild to Last, or Go with the Flow. Because I read your title of that event, and Rebuild to Last is pretending, okay, whatever we build now, it should stay forever and ever and ever. And I would very much encourage you to think along the lines that whatever you're rebuilding or whatever you're building needs to be able to react what is actually happening. In that regard, I'd like to talk about a few things I learned while doing the Action Network Nachhaltigkeit, Aktionsnetzwerk Nachhaltigkeit. I'd like to talk about successes, failures, learnings, and challenges. The network itself is funded by the federal government, so I would say, the right hand of the German Cultural Ministry. And whenever there is something greenish, they say, okay, ask Jacob. Then I'm like Werner, I'm standing on stages and pretending everything is easy, no need to be afraid. We can make it. So in the last or so 20 minutes, I'd like to be very honest about you. To be able to do so, I'd like to ask you again, and this is kind of a disclaimer, I'd like to speak as Jacob and not as being part of the German federal government for culture. So I'd like to be honest and not talk like a politician. Is that okay? So whatever I say is my position, not the position of the culture ministry. So that's me standing in the island of Faro, somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and I really enjoyed it. What did I enjoy about that? I enjoyed it that it kind of established again what we are after in our Aktionsnetzwerk Nachhaltigkeit. This is the, I would say, network I'm running, and that network helps the cultural sector to cope with the challenges ahead. It helps the cultural sector to cope with the challenges ahead, not by pretending everything is going to be easy, not by pretending we can plan it. It builds capacity. And when we reached out to the actors in the cultural sector, we understood there's so much, I would say, fear involved. Like, okay, sure, everybody has to become climate neutral, but nobody really dares, like, how are we going to do it? Is it actually possible? Or is the term so distracting from the actual goal? The term climate neutrality very often with people rings a bit along the lines like, okay, climate neutrality means no emission at all. And then in your mind you go, oh, how can we produce culture with no emissions at all? So we were reaching out to the people in the sector and we tried to make it easy. We wanted to make it easy for them. So this was part of our promise. And by making it easy, and this is a very German way of doing it, we came up with the ideas, wouldn't it be lovely if there would be only 3 steps towards a greener culture in Germany? 3 steps, sounds very doable. Step 1, step 2, step 3, done, lovely. And the question at that time was how to help culture in this transition. And that transition, again, is pretending that transition means we are here and we want to go there. This is today, then tomorrow. And all of a sudden, all the systemic challenges become easy. Oh, we're here, we need to go there. We just need to know where we are, and we just need to know where to go. And that reminds me of that great picture from a great band. Everybody knows that picture. Do you know the album? Abbey Road, lovely album. And we see that, and then I saw that, looking at the picture, I was like, that's interesting. I was wondering how many shots did it take for that picture? It looks like, oh, easy. But then I understood it took really long. And it's a bit the same with transition or transformation. So let's be very honest. Transformation can feel really weird at times. I mean, if you look at it just on one picture, you look very dynamic and you know where to go, but if you would see the whole thing, it would feel weird. And this is what the science tells us. I mean, there's even a science about transformation. And they say transformation in the beginning is very hard because you have to kill your babies. In the middle, it's very complicated, very muddy. You don't know where to go. And only in the end, it seems to kind of find its flow. So, again, another German thing. Let's make it very easy. Please remember these 3 numbers. Can you? Can you read it out loud? 1, 5. Easy. Would you be able to do it without looking at it? Okay, now it's getting more complicated. Another number. 7. Now the smarter of you, oh yeah, maybe I can. Right, good. So our promise to the cultural sector was, if you remember these 4 numbers, everything's gonna be easy. We tried to make it easy. This was the promise. We got ourselves help, because if you want to make it easy, you need help from people already knowing how transformation works, how transition works. And first of all, we got help from her. That's my grandmother. That's me in the red polunder, and I think like 3 years later I had my first visit to the ufaFabrik, maybe. So she helped us in the process, and he helped us. Do you know him? Abraham Wald. We're gonna get back later to him, but you will know. Who's she? All right, so Lady Gaga will help us at this as well. First things first, let's really agree on a basic mindset, a basic narrative, a basic pitfall. Yeah? And this is, no culture is not sustainable. What does it mean? very often when we approach people in the cultural sector and say, okay, you have to be climate neutral, somehow the answer in their mind is, oh, then we stop culture. If we have to reduce our emissions by 20%, why not close one day? A museum open only 5 days instead of 6. Will we save 20%? Or somebody in the theater says, okay, maybe we do one piece less. But this is not the way sustainability works. Just by closing down culture, you won't be able to reach the targets. And we have to be very clear about that. No culture is not sustainable. So let's create more culture. Where do we start? What do we know? Oh, again, very German. German agreed on reducing their emissions by 65% by the year 2030. Everybody's nodding, yes, 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 German, we're going to do that. It's a mere 7 years from now and we can actually do it, no problem, easy. German way, let's go there. Then we have a ministry that says, yeah, this is our reduction target, this is the way we're going to do it. And when you look closely, you go like, oh, that's quite a reduction. Everybody was happy when we talked about it, but now, while looking closer, realize it's not going to be so easy. But we said we want to make it easy. This was our promise. So the cultural sector says, yes, we want to reach these production targets. I'm showing donuts here because everybody likes donuts, and you don't get afraid when you see donuts. But yes, culture wants to go there. What do? We are the Aktionsnetzwerk Nachhaltigkeit, helping the culture to reach the crazy targets of the German government. We do that by doing action. We're not talking. We're not doing studies. We're not signing declarations. We're not pretending that we have to ask again and again and again the sector, what do you actually want? They say, sustainability. Okay, another survey. What do you actually want? Sustainability. Then the next survey says, what do you need to get into the world of sustainability? Okay, we need budget. And they said, oh no, let's do another survey. We don't want to give budget. So, our money comes from die Beauftragte der Bundesregierung für Kultur und Medien, it's the federal government. I would say she's the culture minister, but we don't have a culture minister, but this is like where we get our money from. What we are, the Aktionsnetzwerk, is a cross-sectional contact point for operational ecology in the cultural sector. I'm going to really dig a bit deeper into that. As of now, we have 49 partners coming from different fields of the sector, big institutions, small institutions, museums, libraries, theaters, opera houses, national television stations, and so on and so on. A very, very mixed group of people, cross-sectional. Why cross-sectional? Because we are focusing in on one part of sustainability, and that is operational ecology. So what does operational ecology mean? We learned sustainability is economic, is ecologic, is social, is communal, or cultural. We are focusing in on the actual operation system of culture. What does culture need to produce, to distribute, to store, to archive, to digitalize? So we are looking on energy, on heating, on cooling, on mobility and resources. We're not looking on the social parts. Some would go, oh, why are you not looking on the social parts? Social parts are super important in sustainability, but it helps to focus. So we are focusing on that part. And other initiatives, other networks are focusing on other parts. Inclusivity, diversity, and so on is super important, but it's not our piece of cake. We're looking on operational ecology. Another thing we're doing, and we learned that from Nokia, great mobile company from Finland, we create once and deploy often. We are against silos. From our point of view, the biggest challenge right now is that we have some green activities in the theater, some in opera houses, some in dance companies, some in social cultural institutions. And again, they're coming up with the same ideas. Because there is an operational ecology which is the same. So if you run an opera house, you have to have energy, you have to have light, you have to have sound, you have to have heating, cooling, mobility. And if you run a theater, it's the same. Oh, if you run a music stage, oh, you have energy as well. So let's get out of the silos and come up with one idea which then can be deployed the more often the better. And I've been telling you about my mentor, and she at some point said, Jacob, the thing with sustainability, every company has their vision paper. Like, we are on the forefront of the sustainability movement, we are climate neutral by yesterday, and by that we are the lighthouse for everybody in the sector. And she said, Jacob, vision without action is just small talk.
How can we move from small talking? Oh, interesting. Yeah, that's your strategy. I'm going to show my strategy. Oh, that's a big strategy, big, strong strategy. Yes, yes, but what you're actually doing? Well, it took us so much time to come up with the strategy. Ooh. So, how do we move from knowing to action? While doing so, we got really, really into deep shit, talking to people from the culture sector, saying, guys, we love you, but we want you to be at arm's length. We are cultural actors. We are creative people. We don't want sustainability to interfere with the freedom of the arts. And this is interesting. Freedom of the arts, what is it? I keep asking. Yeah, freedom of the arts, like we understand sustainability is very important, but I am the artist. I don't want to really, nobody to interfere with my structural processes. It's interesting. At some point we had the feeling, wouldn't it be beautiful if people would understand that sustainability actually is safeguarding the freedom of the arts? Because if the arts would pretend we can go on without any interconnection to the real world, what would happen at some point? There will be no freedom of the arts anymore. The idea that the cultural sector can just go on and use the amount of energy, the amount of resources, and so on, without anybody interfering with that, is a bit surreal. So it is very complicated. It is very complicated because whenever you talk about sustainability, it's always the all of the world that you have in the hand and in the mind. And in the cultural sector, sustainability is even more complicated because you have people coming in, you have people coming out, and the museum is only allowed that range of humidity. It has to be 50% humidity, 20 degrees Celsius, because otherwise the big statues coming from 200, I would say 2,000 years away, they will just dissolve. And then everyone go, that's interesting. So they have been lying somewhere in the desert for 1,000 years, and now in the museum it's only 50 humidity and 20 degrees. So everything is very complicated. As well, what is very complicated, when you look closer, you understand there is no innovation with ex-novation. Do you know the term ex-novation? No, it is existing. You can look it up. It's not that I came up with that to have a kind of fun point in my presentation. Everybody is talking about innovation. Yeah, let's innovate this, let's innovate that. But every system thinker understands you can't put more and more things into a system without taking anything out. I'm a hoarder with books. I buy so many books, which I don't necessarily read, I just want to have them. So I have a room full of books. It's getting fuller and fuller and fuller. And my wife at some point said, Jacob, you're only allowed to get a new book when some of the old books gets out of the room, because there's not much space anymore. And this is a nice picture what is happening if you put more and more into an already overflowing system, like that. Beautiful cars, both of them. So what happened in between? Bigger, more technic. Everything is great about that car. It's the best car in the world. It's a German car. It's a Porsche. It's what you need to have. The best sports car you can get. On the other hand, it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. So if you look at the cars today, they're getting bigger and bigger and bigger. At the same time, we're talking about cities, about space, and then we're taking away the parking space for bicycles. But the cars are getting bigger. Isn't that surreal? Good. Another point. Let's talk about culture. Let's talk about footprint. We want culture with a smaller footprint, but we want to have a bigger handprint. You know the concept of handprint? No, good. Footprint needs to be reduced. Handprint needs to be maximized. What is handprint? So handprint is a concept by the University of Oxford. Handprint is describing the positive impact a system has on its environment. The positive impact culture has on the environment, the handprint. So, can we find a way of maximizing the handprint and minimizing the footprint? As I said, it's very complicated. We have no time, and this is the feeling we all have. We have no time, we have no time, we have no time. And every year where we don't do anything, the climate neutrality goal gets down 2 years. So we started with 2050, now it's 2045, then there are countries with 2035. I think there are even countries who already have their climate neutrality goal just a year behind, just to show some, I don't know, leadership or so. So every year we meet in climate conferences, and leadership means pretending we can reach it even quicker. So that's the feeling, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. But what's happening is, when you hurry up, strange things happening. Now my grandmother's coming into the game. When I was a kid, I was very in a hurry. And she said, Jacob, when you're in a hurry, walk slowly. So the more you're in a hurry, the slower you should walk. Because when you run, you might stumble, you forget things. So let's walk a bit slower. As I promised, we make this easy, precise, and practical, and walking slow. You remember these numbers. Yeah? 1, 3, 5. Another number, 1, 3, 5, 7. These are the magic numbers to make really sense of the transformation walking slow. So first, we need one decision. One decision is needed. Then we need 3 steps and 5 measures. This is the basic structure we built our action network on. This is every process we have with our cultural institution goes along these lines. So first, the decision is, do we want to act or react? Do we see ourselves in a position to act, or we see ourselves in a position to react? And this is a fair question. You don't need to be always in a position to act, like, oh, I'm just acting. Sometimes reaction is good, makes sense. But another question, another decision is, do we want that transformation by design or disaster? Do we want to wait until everything gets so horrible that we have to change what we see now with the energy crisis? So we are not talking about energy efficiency only since crazy Putin invaded Ukraine. Look at Werner, and Werner hasn't even been the first talking about energy efficiency. But right now, by disaster, we are really pushed towards energy efficiency. So this is one of the decisions. Do we want transformation by design or by disaster? Then this leads us to 3 steps. We have to set targets. We have to define our status. And we have to plan, implement, and evaluate actions. Sounds very easy, like, so what's that's kind of a strategy. But very often when I closely engaged with cultural institutions, I understand most of them have targets, but very little of them has actually defined their status. So when I ask, what's your footprint? They say, I don't know. But then I ask, so what's your climate neutrality goal? Like, oh, 2030, and we signed a declaration, every opera house is going to be neutral by 2030. But when I ask, so where are you actually today? I say, I have no idea. And when I ask them, so what you're actually doing to reach these goals, it becomes even quieter in the room. So these are the 3 steps. Now we look at the 5 measures. We have to provide resources. This transformation, and this is the bad news, will be very expensive, very painful, and really hard to put into action. Good news, if we wait longer, it will be even more expensive, even more painful, and even harder to put into action. The sooner we start within the cultural sector, the easier it becomes. It doesn't mean that we have to pretend it's going to be easy, but we have to be very open about it. The longer we wait, the more complicated it will get. To have this happening, we have to provide resources. We have to build skills and capacities. So if you're working in the cultural sector right now, like some of you might, you're confronted with a challenge which is not part of what you've learned. You might be a curator in a museum, or a theater director, or a festival producer, or running a social cultural center. So you did something in the past. Now what you need to do now is so different towards what you did in the past. So you have to build skills and capacities. We have to launch pilots and experiments. We have to actually do something. And if we call it a pilot, an experiment, we don't have to succeed, but we have to give it a try. We have to collect and understand data. Data in the cultural sector is a bit of a thing. On the other hand, it helps you to understand where you're at. It helps you understand where you want to go, and it helps you how far you already got to the goal. And then you have to build networks. So these was 1, 3, 5. What's the last number? 7. Great. I love you. So please remember 1, 3, 5, 1 decision, 3 steps, 5 measures, now 7. This is 7. Everybody's talking about climate neutrality, which makes everybody afraid, like, oh, does it mean no emission at all? 7%. If we save 7% of our emissions on a year-by-year basis, we'll reach the net zero target in the time frame. And reducing the emissions, the overall emissions of the sector or of the opera house or of the building by 7% each year sounds, at least from my point of view, far more feasible, far more doable than this, oh, climate neutral, how should it go, which pushes everybody into compensation and offsetting, which I think is a horrible system. But 7% sounds very doable. This would be the end of the introduction. Now there would be some examples, but I understand I'm quite through with my time and I'd like to leave it open for some questions. Otherwise I can run through some examples, but this will take another few minutes. But shouldn't we move into questions?
Yeah.
Now you're missing Lady Gaga and the scientist, but
So
he will come later.
So if there are questions right now, or you want to see these examples, we got, well, the time frame is 5 minutes for question and answers. Oh, and there's a question.
I understood I have 20 minutes, right?
Yep, 20, 25, yeah.
Okay, this is why I'm through. Good.
Okay, so about the fund, like I forgot yeah, like I think what was it in the actions, or what was the funding part? It was
The federal government.
no, but like in what you need to do.
Okay.
You need to find funding, resources. Okay. So I don't have the number in mind, but to reach the goals, like for the built environment in Europe, and not only culture but in general, to become climate neutral by 2050. I think it's 20, like what is it, 28 trillion euros or something like that.
You're talking about Europe or Germany
Europe.
or global?
Europe.
You mean the European Green Deal program?
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Yeah.
like I heard a very interesting conference lately where like the head of unit of the new European Bauhaus was saying, even if all the governments came together tomorrow and like, provided all the resources they could put into the green transformation, there actually won't be enough money to do it. So it's impossible without the private investment, which is animated by everything but sustainability concerns, right? Like who is leading the urban transformation of the big cities? It's like, Chinese money, Indian money, like big capital, big real estate companies. So I would like to hear you about like, okay, yes, but how does this resource come in the transformation of the built environment of Europe? Like, because this is one of the 5 measures, but I would say that if this is not there, you can build capacities, you can launch pilots, you can learn, but at the end of the day, if you don't have the money to transform the built environment, like how do you do it?
Looking at the time, I'm going to give you a very short answer. And there's a magic word on the European level. This is called regulation. So at the very moment, something is regulated to create a market and a demand. For example, I run a company called Everywhere Hydrogen, in which we produce mobile fuel cells for festivals. Mobile hydrogen fuel cells are very expensive in comparison to a diesel generator. As of now, festivals and inner city events are using diesel generators because they are cheap. At the very moment these generators are not allowed anymore, which will happen in the next 5 years, our business model will explode. So once regulation creates a market, which what regulation usually does, there will be an offer from the private sector. As of now, there isn't. But you were asking, where does the money come from? Right now, my company in hydrogen is flooded with money because we have hydrogen in the title and everybody, oh, hydrogen, how can we invest? How can we join? And this is just one tiny part of that. I would say every company who has a good idea of how to make sense of circular economy will have an interesting part in the marketplace in the future. Once circular economy is agreed upon as being the goal. Right now, everybody's talking about circular economy, and you're talking about in the built environment where there is a clear regulation, but the actual happening is like, we'll say 5 years behind the regulation. Everybody's trying to find their niche. Although we don't have to apply to that. We're a culture sector. We're kind of not in there. But once the regulation and this clear framework is in, money will flood in, because if things are built, things need to be paid. And if this is the only way of things to be built, it's like so. So this is a very optimistic thing. On the other hand, yeah, it's always too little money. Absolutely, yes.
There's another question here.
Thank you so much for this happy and efficient presentation. I just want to understand a little bit more how you jump to action. Yeah. What kind of actions you provide, or you, and another small question, how you act for innovation. How you can help us to take off bad things in our practice.
So, first of all, I'm going to lie down a few of the tools we're using. One is we about building capacities and skills. Together with the German Chamber of Commerce, we created an educational program. It's called Transformation Manager Sustainable Culture. So people apply for that course, and when they pass the test, they get the official stamp of the German Chamber of Commerce that from now on, they are technically transformation managers in sustainable culture. Which was a very interesting step, because before that, to be very honest, in the culture sector, everybody learned something and kind of mingled into their jobs. And now, as being part of a very German culture thing, they get an official stamp. So they can go out, I am a transformation manager for sustainable culture. So we created an offer. And on the other hand, the institutions in our network now have demand for these kind of people. So they, we need a transformation manager, sustainable culture. For the courses, we have more than 800 people signing up for each and every course. And we can go only offer 30 to 30 people, showing the demand. And they pay it. It's 2,500 euros for a course, which is normal for such a course. So this is how it works with building skills and capacity. Another thing is we created a carbon calculator for the culture sector, which makes it easy for houses, theater productions, cinemas to assess their carbon footprint, to help them understand their data, second level. Third level, we're doing pilot projects with them. For example, with hydrogen, we have a few big projects with museums in which we're using solar, like Werner, but have hydrogen production in the basement, then producing the hydrogen, storing the hydrogen. This is not scalable yet, but it's the way to go. So we're engaging them in very actual processes, and all of these processes are funded by either public money or investment by private companies, because private companies are very, very interested in working together with the culture sector. For example, a museum, an average museum has an energy consumption between 8 and 17 million kilowatt hours. It's a normal museum. So 8 and 17 million kilowatt hours, every 5% of savings through energy efficiency or whatever good idea means money. And where there's money, the private sector flutes in. So we're trying to create a balance between offer and demand. Sometimes we have to push the demand, sometimes we have to push the offer. Very market-driven strategy, yes.
Okay, one more small question. Yes.
I like how you outlined the action as part of the action network. Now I just wanted to hear more about the network part and like, so how do you work with the data? What is the kind of network approach? I think it's interesting for us to reflect as a
Okay, so let me show you few things. So this is one of the network parts. So we're doing pilots, footprint pilots with our members, in which we build skills and capacity with them. So then if they did assess their footprint, they become part of another project called Green Culture Index, in which they assess their footprint and exchange data amongst the network peers. So you're only disclosing your data to other people already disclosing their data. So nobody can look in the data of the other theater or opera house or museum unless they're part of that group. So by being part of the group, you offer your data to the others. Up to now, we have 260 test pilots in Germany. We call them test pilots because the footprinting is just starting. And then they start to ask themselves, how much is it? And this is another of the network projects. This is a project we did with museums in Hamburg. And the magic potion of that museum thing was that every director of every museum in Hamburg came together. So we did footprints for 26 Hamburg museums. And they said, by taking part in the project, we will interchange our data, our results. So the very big Hamburger Kunsthalle is exchanging data with the Deichtorhallen, with the Museum of Work. But they only did it because they created some kind of network process. Nobody outside of that process will see their data. So this is another power of the network, that you exchange in a safe space. What we learned in that process, and this is another thing, you can't really compare against each other. So a museum with 17 million kilowatt hours can't be compared to a museum with 2,000 kilowatt hours, so to say, which there is not existing. So the idea was, let's create a big network and smaller networks where people exchange ideas and approaches. Another thing, we created a communication tool, which again really got people in. They said, oh, we wanna use that tool, we want to show to our audience that we did our footprinting, we want to become of that. This is another offer of the network. And the last thing, this is him, I'm going to show you later. We agreed in the network on some actual processes. Whoever is part of the network is agreeing on that process needs to be bottom up and top down. So you can't go anywhere without the top level agreeing. You won't get anywhere without like the actual people doing it becoming part of the process. We said we want to do it step by step. We want to do it based on data, and we want to do it co-creative. Like I said, create once, deploy often. So an idea from an opera house can make so much sense with a theater. A library idea can make so much sense in the context of a festival. So we are looking not on the specific solutions, we're looking on the general solutions, because when we solve the general solutions, we have this, at least from our point of view, roughly 80% already addressed. So whatever Werner came up at the ufaFabrik could be done at the Bundeskunsthalle in Bonn, could be done at the Opera in Leipzig, and could be done at a festival in near Dresden or so. So we try to find not the difference, but the similarities. And the last thing, but who? This is what I talked about. This is the educational program, and as of now, we have 100, I would say, alumni of the process, which are like sucked from the market. So everybody who went through that process can get a job in like 2 weeks, because every cultural institution in Germany right now is looking for such a person. And we have 20,000 funded cultural institutions. I'm not talking of the private sector. As of now, we only have 100 people going through the process. So the network here is offering a job perspective for people, as easy as. And then the last thing, this is Lady Gaga. Well, this I'm going to open up. So what did we learn from Lady Gaga? And this is, we have to develop a tolerance to ambiguity. Have you heard of that term? Ambiguity tolerance? Meaning we have to learn how to cope with things not being total precise. A good answer today can be the wrong answer tomorrow. What is absolutely wrong today can be right tomorrow. And this is very unusual. So projects funded by the governments very often say, okay, you have to write the application and you have to really lie out where you want to go in 5 years' time. You say, write the application, and the project starts 1.5 years later. How can I possibly know where to go in 5 years' time? It's impossible. And this really took us some time to make the government understand that. And we did it by look at Lady Gaga. She's very, very successful. But if you look at her career in the last 10 years, she's always looking different, very different. So the Aktionsnetzwerk and its goal and its tools will be different in the next years. So sounds easy. Now I'm coming to the last thing, then I'm through. Big challenge is exactly that. There's an English word, ministries or founders have to be at arm's length with the culture sector. They don't need to be interfering with the freedom of the arts. I wouldn't think so, because at the very moment you're paying something, you're interfering with it already. It's like, I'm not giving you money, pretending you can do whatever you want. Everybody of you is very used to writing reports and blah, 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 indicator sets, so you're already interfering. And the future in sustainability needs to be somewhere in between culture, somewhere in between environmental actors, somewhere in between culture and environmental actor and businesses or economies. So we have to really broaden our focus from looking only at culture and looking only at culture and then theater, looking only at culture and then theater, small theaters, into really broadening and opening up that process to other parts. So this is what we learned, blah, blah, blah. And this is the biggest thing, transformation is a team sport. We can only do it together. So the more, the merrier. Our network is cross-sectional. This was the offering to the network. We want to have people on board who are open to disclose their data in the network, who are open to change their successes, to exchange their failures, and only then a network does make sense. We don't lead a network for somebody to sign a declaration. We don't need a network to do a survey. We need a network to create once and deploy often. And then my grandmother, who said, when you're in a hurry, walk slowly, will be very happy. Thank you.
Oh. Thank you, Jakobs Sylvester Billaby. Thank you very much. That was inspiring. So I guess this little feeling of hunger might occur to the one or the other person. So I'm glad to announce now the lunch break for 1 hour. So we will meet here back again at 1:30, 1:35. So the lunch will be served somewhere around here in the cafe. You just follow the crowd, so you'll find it. So thank you once again, and see you in 1 hour.